He asks Ariel to take the shape of a flame of fire and fling himself at the ship so people jump up. So I'm gonna turn into the flame of fire, and then I'm gonna throw it. Take this shape. Now Angelina's got the flame of fire.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say that I bet when William Shakespeare was writing The Tempest, he probably wasn't envisioning this. What you're hearing is a group of children participating in the Shakespeare and Autism project at Ohio State. They're moving around, dancing, expressing, connecting with each other and themselves. They're passing around that imaginary fireball, totally entranced by not only the activity, but what others are doing and feeling. And for many people with autism, that is a very big deal. Through a series of games and activities, the Shakespeare and Autism Project aims to improve the lives of these children. It's theater, but it's also therapy, though it never calls itself that. The children aren't being corrected, they're being connected to themselves, their peers, and to something far beyond the four walls of the room. And all of it is rooted in the words of the bard himself.
And on the count of three, we're gonna blow out that flame. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. Wow. Beautiful.
I'm Franny Lazarus, and you're listening to Now at Ohio State. We talk with researchers, innovators, and bold thinkers who look at our world, see what the real challenges are, and create the solutions that people need now. So, how did Shakespeare's words become a bridge to connection for children with autism? Well, if all the world's a stage, then Kevin McClatchy is a major player. In addition to being a working actor for 30 years in theater, film, and television, McClatchy is an associate professor of theater, film, and media arts at Ohio State, where he oversees the acting curriculum. Currently, Ohio State's Artist Laureate, he is also the director of the Shakespeare and Autism Project and lead facilitator of the Shakespeare and Veterans Initiative, a collaborative partnership with the Columbus Veterans Association. He sits down with our Ross Bischoff to discuss the power of this program, some of the games and exercises it employs, how it leverages the Hunter Heartbeat method, and the incredible impact it's having on the children who participate.
Kevin, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks, Russ. Thanks for having me.
Could you just start off by telling us what you do here at Ohio State and what your role is?
Yeah, I'm the head of acting and directing in the Department of Theater, Film, and Media Arts. I'm an associate professor. So I oversee all the acting curriculum for the graduate program and the undergraduates. I'm also the director of the Shakespeare and Autism Project, and I run something called the Shakespeare and Veterans Initiative. And this year for 2024 and 25, I am the Ohio State Artist Laureate.
Could you maybe just introduce us to what Shakespeare and Autism is and what that project entails?
Sure. The Shakespeare and Autism Project is a civic engagement project that is based on the Hunter Heartbeat method, which is a series of drama games inspired and influenced by Shakespeare that engages individuals on the autism spectrum in a play-based atmosphere. The foundation of the Hunter Heartbeat method is the rhythm of Shakespeare's language, which is the rhythm of a heartbeat. Most people understand it as iambic pentameter or blank verse, and really all that means is it's 5 metrical feet with 2 syllables in each foot, and those syllables are like unstressed, stressed. So the rhythm of a heartbeat, which is ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. So, but soft what light through yonder window breaks, or a horse, my kingdom for a horse. And it's also essentially the way our rhythm of language, how we speak. And it's also the first sound we hear, arguably, before we're born, our mother's heartbeat. So it's sort of primal and organic. It's really kind of embedded in our DNA and our physical reality to be responsive to that heartbeat. One of the stereotypes of autistic individuals is that they are a blank slate, that they have no emotion, that they have no inner life, and nothing could be further from the truth. Just like you and I, every autistic individual has vivid, incredibly imaginative inner lives. What happens is a lot of autistic individuals find it challenging to find expression for that. We craft opportunities to investigate that in a play-based, agendaless atmosphere where the enjoyment and engagement of the participants is the primary focus. And we meet each other where we are. We connect on common ground through the heartbeats. So we take that, and we also take the vivid characterizations that are in Shakespeare's plays and storytelling, and his obsession with what it feels like to be fully alive. And we take those investigations of the heart, the mind, the eyes, and we confront the core features of autism using those tenets. But we have no agenda in these workshops with the Hunter Heartbeat method. It's not like we walk into a workshop and we say, okay, today we're going to work on eye contact or spatial awareness. We simply play these games, and embedded in the games are opportunities to investigate self-expression and other core features of autism using social use of language and other communicative skills.
So tell us about the games. I mean, for somebody, I've seen 2 of these sessions now,
Yeah.
But for somebody who maybe hasn't been there, give us an example of a game, and then don't be afraid to let it fly. Like, let's see what you bring to the table when it comes to the acting and some of these characters.
Yeah. So in The Tempest, there's a character named Prospero who was the Duke of Milan, and he was overthrown by his brother and his arch nemesis. And Prospero and his young daughter Miranda were exiled to this island. And the island had one inhabitant when Prospero and Miranda arrived, and that's Caliban. And Caliban is this sort of half human, half fish kind of monster. Caliban was given this island by his mother Sycorax. And when Prospero gets there, he essentially takes the island from Caliban and makes Caliban his servant. He's always just muttering imprecations either under his breath or out loud and cursing Prospero and just trying to subvert him and rebel. And Prospero has to discipline Caliban on occasion. So in the play, Caliban says, "This island's mine by Sycorax, my mother, which thou takest from me." And Prospero gets fed up with Caliban's complaining and bickering, and he says, "I'll rack thee with old cramps, fill all thy bones with aches, make thee roar." So he's going to punish him. So in the game, we do something called changing the face, which goes right to a core feature of autism and part of the research, which is the struggle to recognize facial expressions that are connected to specific emotions and then replicate them. We make an angry face, make a happy face, make a sad face, disgusted, fearful, surprised, all connected to different characters in The Tempest. So when we make the angry face, we then revisit the angry face and it becomes the angry face of Caliban. But when we play the game, Ross, if we have a child that's nonverbal, he or she can make that monster's body, and Prospero can give Caliban cramps by extending his arms and shaking his fingers, which shows that I'm sending you cramps to a very specific spot in your body. And that child, as Caliban, can try that. And then Prospero claps his hands and says, "Better." And then Caliban's better. And then we do that again. And we usually do it 3 times, escalating the intensity and the intention of it. in the scaffolding of the game, there's a version where you use no text, where Caliban has the monster body and Prospero circles with his wizard body, and they simply do the actions of giving cramps, having cramps, making the cramps better. The next version is simply Prospero saying cramps and then clapping, saying better, and Caliban using this island's mine. If you have individuals who might have a facility with text, then you can have Caliban say, this island's mine by Sycorax, my mother, which thou takes from me. And Prospero can use all of his text as well. So in that way, as teaching artists, we can respond to what each individual participant needs so everybody can play the game. And they don't have to play it exactly the same way. And it's awesome because there's nothing more pleasurable than faking having violent cramps
Right.
and then being made better. And then you instantly switch characters. So if I'm Caliban and you're Prospero and you're giving me the business with the cramps, you know that you're going to get as good as you gave in just a second. And it's really fun to instantly switch characters with a monster body that's low to the ground and then an imperial wizard. Just embedded in cramps is spatial awareness. So you keep distance from each other, circling each other around the circle. So there's spatial awareness, there's eye contact, there's cause and effect, there's specific use of language, there's I'm Kevin outside the circle, and then I'm this vivid character inside the circle, and what that means in terms of taking on a character and leaving it behind. So all these things are embedded in a game that uses, 6 lines of text.
This year, as we mentioned, you were named the Artist Laureate here at Ohio State. Tell us what that entailed and tell us how you've been able to take it outside of Columbus and into some other communities who might be able to use this.
So the Artist Laureate program, for me, made it possible to take both Shakespeare and autism and the work I do in the veterans community outside of Central Ohio, where we have been doing work for the last 10 years, and it's been great and effective. But just because of hours in the day and personal obligations, we haven't been able to go outside of Central Ohio. So this Artist Laureate program, which funds an artist to do exactly that, has been a tremendous gift. The first half of the year, the fall, I concentrated on Shakespeare and autism, and I recruited a number of my students who have done the training, some grad students and undergrad students who are I can't say enough about them, their talent and their willingness to go far afield and commit. We set up community partnerships with OSU's Lima campus and OSU Marion, with the Athens County Developmental Disability Board, and with Cleveland Playhouse and their teaching artists, and in Licking County, their Developmental Disability Board and teachers. And same in Athens, it was like the Developmental Disability Board was gateway to the teachers. So in each of those places, we would go and do a training session with interested teaching artists who were educators, some performers, some community members who were interested in engaging. And we would have training in the Hunter Heartbeat method. And then either the next day or 2 days later, we would have those same people who did the training help facilitate a workshop with autistic individuals. And then we would talk about next steps, what might be possible in your community in Licking County and in Cleveland and in Athens and in Marion. And I think we're going to go back to Lima to do more. They're all bringing it to their communities and their schools. You have different champions, because you need one person to be the champion to sort of plant their flag and say, this is great, we're going to keep doing it. And we found those people in each of those places, which has been incredible. The second half of the Artist Laureate program centers around the work I do in the veterans community And the heartbeat of that is a solo show that I created, an hour-long solo show about a friend of mine from Philadelphia who's a Special Forces veteran who's now on 100% disability. And we used the show as an opportunity to put the audience inside his experience when he was in conflict areas, but also inside his experience of transition from service to civilian and the challenges that he faced along the way and how he dealt with them. And the show really is intended to provoke in both the civilian population and in the military population an opportunity to have a conversation about what is our hard understanding of what we ask of our military when we send them to do the jobs they do? What is our responsibility as community members when those veterans return and are seeded back into the community? Is there a military-civilian divide? And if so, what is it that we can do to sort of build a bridge? And also, what's the connective tissue of a civilian experience and a veteran experience?
Kevin, thank you so much for this work and this interview. It's always amazing to talk to you.
Thanks, Ross. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
While McClatchy brings the vision, structure, and decades of experience, the day-to-day heart of the program often comes from people like Angelina Stishenko. She is a graduate teaching associate and Master of Fine Arts student in the Department of Theater, Film, and Media Arts at Ohio State. She is currently the graduate project coordinator of the Shakespeare and Autism Project. Here, Stishenko talks with Ross about her unique path into this work, how the sessions unfold from moment to moment, and what it means to step into the room each day with openness and wonder.
Angelina, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you just start off by introducing yourself and what you do here at Ohio State?
Yes. So I'm Angelina Stishenko. I'm a third-year MFA in acting student here at Ohio State. I have been involved in Shakespeare and Autism for the last 3 years. So ever since I got here, I knew that this is something that I was going to be involved in. And this year, I've done the directed teaching for the past 2 years. And now in my third year, I'm the facilitator, the instructor of the course.
What is your message to the teaching artists in those introductory classes where you're getting ready for the children to come? What are the things you try to stress to them as somebody who's gone through this before and experienced it?
One of the main things is saying yes to serious play, right? We're playing games, but you got to take it seriously. If you're going to play Caliban, the half man, half monster, right? It's really important that you as a teaching artist, you really commit to his angry face. You really commit to his bent knees and hunched over body, low body to the ground. It's also about kicking any perfectionism, out the window. This is not a place for that. This is a place for serious play. This is a place for generosity of spirit. So it's all about the kids. We demonstrate fully out, but then we play the way that the child wants to play. Right? We meet them where they are. And that means taking all of your ego out of it. That's huge. There's no place for ego. It's never pushing a child to do something. We have enough environments where kids are pushed to be like, okay, now, no, this is wrong. You have to do this. And it's like, no, this is an environment for them to play. And the growth that happens and the little milestones that we see, they don't need to the kids never think about that. We never make that our agenda. The agenda is for the kids to have a great time.
I fall flat.
When you first came to Ohio State, when did you learn about Shakespeare and Autism, and what was your first experience like when you first saw it? Were you all in? What did you think right away?
I found out about Shakespeare and Autism in my callback interview. My first job outside of my undergrad was working with kids on the spectrum in preschools. So I was like, oh, tell me more. This is so exciting. Tell me more. And so I knew that I was going to be a part of it before I got my offer. I knew that was something that I definitely wanted to be a part of. And I made it clear from the start of like, I'm all in.
So you mentioned that you and Toma get along well and that you speak his home language. Explain that to us a little bit.
First, I was like, there's a kid the same age, same name as my little brother. What? And he's also from Ukraine. And it's just exciting whenever you meet a fellow immigrant, you meet someone and his parents are wonderful. And also I wanted to automatically try to see, I was like, well, he's growing up in a bilingual family, right? And so when we play the games, I tried in English and I tried it in our native language as well. And sometimes one landed more than the other because I think that that's what he's just used to at home. And the goal, but I would still repeat things in both so that it just starts folding in.
It has a profound effect on the children involved, but I've also talked to other students like yourself. It affects the students and the teaching artists as well, correct?
Absolutely. So I tell my students all the time, especially in this part of the semester, of like, you could be having the crappiest day. It could be a really tough day and you have a million things to do before and a million things to do after. But these 2 hours are always going to fill up your cup. That's also a reason to do it, right? Is because it's selfishly, it's fun. Seeing kids have fun, seeing them open up and have a great time and be excited to see you, or just see them do something that they've never done before. Like afterwards, after the kids leave, we have like a little debrief, and it's always filled with pops of things like, did you see when this kid, did you see when he did this? Did you see when she did this? Oh my God, that was amazing. That's phenomenal. And so everyone walks out of, yes, for 2 hours, you're very present. You're on, so to speak, right? You don't have time to kind of go back into yourself and introspective like any other class, right? Where you can just kind of zone out. There's not a second of that. I think that's kind of just the way to go about in life of like when you're thinking about other people, your life becomes better, right? And here you're doing it by playing games. It's a win-win-win situation.
Is it difficult to say goodbye?
Always. It's so funny because the very last workshop, everyone, you could look at all the teaching artists when we just sang the heartbeat goodbyes. And you see all the teaching artists every year after year, and we're all just kind of like, oh man, it's already, all these weeks have already passed. We've already done. And the kids are like, bye. We get very attached. Very quickly, these kids bring out the best in you. Very quickly, these workshops connect to your inner child. They connect to, again, like just the best qualities of you that you're giving to everybody around you. And so there's a bond that happens, and there's memories that are shared of like, I remember when he did this in the first workshop, and now he's jumping up and he's doing this, and it's like, did you see that? We get to like, congratulate and like cheer for those little moments. And so of course everyone's like, and now this is not a part of this was the best part of my semester. What do you mean this is not going to be the thing I do on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Yeah.
Angelina, this has been fascinating as always. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Goodbye, Max. Goodbye, Max. Goodbye, Max. Goodbye, Max.
Sometimes connection doesn't start with words. It starts with a look, a gesture, a shared moment of play. That's the beauty of the Shakespeare and Autism Project. It doesn't force communication, it invites it. It's not demanding understanding, it's nurturing it. This project meets each child exactly where they are, then takes them somewhere new. Through rhythm and repetition, joy and imagination, it shows us that Shakespeare isn't just a playwright from the past. He's a teacher in the present. And while goodbyes can be hard and no one particularly likes a long goodbye, sometimes, in the right context, they can be absolutely life-changing.
Goodbye, everybody, goodbye.
Now at Ohio State is produced by the Ohio State University's Office of Marketing and Communications. For more information, visit us at go.osu.edu/now. I'm your host, Franny Lazarus. Thanks for listening.